Welcome to Unique's True Wealth Gold and Silver Savings Program. My name is Bill Rowell. I'm a co-founder and president of Unique. Today we're going to be speaking about our Unique's True Wealth Gold and Silver Savings Programs. But right now we're living in a period of great change, well, not only technological changes, but one of great monetary change. Now I'm sure we'd all like to have more money, more time freedom, more peace of mind. But to attain that during times of great change, we must become great learners. I like what Eric Hoffer said. He said, in times of profound change, the learners inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. Now today, we're all facing these certainties, and that is, paper currencies lose value. Gold and silver is a true storehouse of value, and right now there is a wealth transformation in progress. Now, if your desire is to be part of this wealth transformation, you must recognize this change. Now, permit me to ask you this. Is the cost of living becoming less? Are you working less hours today? Or are you working longer hours in order to make ends meet? Are you living from savings, or are you living from debt? The rising cost of living generally means that prices for necessities of life are costing more. Items such as food, energy, education, housing, healthcare. But incidentally, necessities of life such as food and energy items are removed from the official Consumer Price Index reporting standards. But of course, these deceptive numbers cannot fool us, firstly because each of us experience it, and secondly, just about everybody around us today are speaking about the rising cost of living. Yet rising prices are a symptom, not the cause. I think today people are working a minimum of 40 or 60 hours per week in order to just make ends meet. And in families, it's not uncommon for both partners to have jobs. But when we go to our profession and we provide services, we are in fact trading our life to be paid in a paper currency that generally loses half of its purchasing power every 10 years. Now think about that. That means you work 40 hours per week, month after month, year after year, but the paper currency you're paid in is losing value. Does that seem fair? Now this is an unjust monetary system. It's an unjust weights and measures. And to keep up with this imbalance, you need to, on average, increase your income by at least 7% every year. Now, loss of the currency's purchasing power and rising prices are the effect. And if we want to make the right decisions, we must first understand the cause. Now, it is the central banks of countries that prints the money we use as a means of exchange. Money supply can be increased to stimulate an economy, used to bail out failed banks, companies, and even countries. But what effect does this really have with the increase of printing of money? Well, today, the common term used for this printing is quantitative easing. You've all heard of QE1, QE2, and about the continued quantitative easing programs that central banks around the world and governments are speaking about. But each time a central bank increases the monetary supply by printing more, in other words, when the increase of monetary supply is not contributed by an increase in productivity generated by the applied labor to goods and services in the economy, in that country, it decreases the purchasing power of your currency, and this is called monetary debasement. And the effect is inflation. Now, rising prices, which means less goods for your money. Inflation is like a hidden tax that strips wealth silently from the masses. We have selected a chart from 1971 because this was the year when President Nixon completely removed the US dollar, the world's reserve currency, from the gold standard, thereby removing a standard of true value against the US dollar and all other currencies worldwide. Now, gold has always been used as money because it takes real hard work and investment to first find it and then remove it from the Earth's crust, refine it, and then turn it into a certified product. On the other hand, the printing of money requires minimal labor, and whether they are printing a $1 note or a $1,000 note, it is paper, ink, and the printing press. There's no real intrinsic value associated with the printing of paper currency. Now let's look at the red line rising from the bottom left corner to the top right. This indicates the increase of monetary supply, and you can clearly see the effect that it has had on the purchasing power of the US dollar. In fact, you just don't see it in the chart. Of course, we all experience it. Now, we all go to work and we're paid in a paper currency, only to realise that year after year it buys less and less, and wage increases certainly do not keep up with the rising prices. As previously mentioned, today in the US the Consumer Price Index is measured without using the primary elements of human consumption, that is food and energy. These are necessities of life. They are costing more, yet they are not included in the official CPI reporting. Now, the monetary debasement is not just the US dollar. You can take a look at the Canadian dollar, the British pound, the Australian dollar, the euro. It's in fact currencies worldwide. Now, the euro is a new currency and certainly faces many challenges in its short life. The euro's purchasing power is already less than half, and this is no exaggeration. If you reside in the European Union, one would have to agree that in the past 10 years the cost of living has dramatically increased, if not doubled. Now, I personally experienced this because back in 1998 I purchased a new BMW 5 Series in Germany for 55,000 Deutschmarks. Now today the same model sells for over 50,000 euro. See, the problem is that when Germany went from the Deutschmark to the euro, the exchange rate was 1.998 marks to 1 euro. So let's keep it simple. It was basically 2 marks to 1 euro, meaning that the car should be around 25,000 euros, but all prices actually did increase on equal par. Now, I used to be able to buy a cappuccino for 1 mark 50. But today, of course, I'm paying over 3 euros, which is 6 marks. Many of you would be familiar with Mr. Alan Greenspan. He was the chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank, which is responsible for the printing of the US dollar, and he made this clear and profound statement back in 1967. He said, in the absence of the gold standard, there is no way to protect savings from confiscation through inflation. There is no safe store of value. Mr. Greenspan made this statement some 4 years prior to Mr. Nixon removing the gold standard from the US dollar. And today, we see clearly the effect of this on the purchasing power of paper currencies around the world. Inflation is a silent thief that strips wealth from the people, and generally without them even realizing it. John Maynard Keynes, the father of the branch of economics that utterly dominates our lives today, had this to say about inflation. He said, Vladimir Lenin, the revolutionary Russian leader, was certainly right. There's no more positive or subtle or surer means of destroying the existing basis of society than to debauch the currency. By continuing process of inflation, governments can confiscate secretly and unobserved an important part of the wealth of the citizens. The process engages all of the hidden forces of economics on the side of destruction, and it does it in a manner that not one man in a million can diagnose. Now, I'm not creating negative speculation here. History has been often proven to repeat itself. Example here of these 775 currencies in study, there are only approximately 178 left today. Now, the others have all perished, and the ones remaining do not have a good bill of financial health. We can go back to the time of Joseph in ancient Egypt some 6,000 years ago till now, and we'll see that every major empire has collapsed due to monetary debasement. In former times they debased their currency by adding lower value base metals to their gold and silver coins, and today we do it by printing money, and without having a gold standard of value in place, it is purely paper, ink and hope that the currency will not fail its people. But of course history proves this otherwise. Now, have you ever considered why everyone wants to buy your gold today? Wherever I travel I see billboards, TV commercials, shop fronts, all wanting your gold. Now, is there any such thing as junk gold? Or as I recently saw in Frankfurt, we buy your old gold. In fact, the advertising is done in such a way that it sounds like they're doing you a favour. We buy your old gold. But don't be fooled. We see here that central banks globally are increasing their gold holdings. These are the same authorities that control the paper monetary supply, yet they are diversifying some of their paper currency into real tangible values such as gold. Now think about it. Why would they do that if they truly believed in their issued paper currency? Have they lost hope of their paper currency, or is it that they too understand monetary history and simply want to be able to preserve the wealth by holding physical gold? Now, if central banks around the world are increasing their holdings, I think we too have to ask ourselves why. We've got to understand the reasoning behind it, and then we have to decide our own plan of action. Fundamentally, apart from being a fairly rare and precious commodity, gold has served as universal money for almost 6,000 years. Now, gold is the only true form of money known to mankind, and given that gold is no one's promise or liability, it is also the one asset that no one can default upon when you hold it. It is a pure asset in the strictest sense of the word, and the best one at preserving long-term purchasing power for your paper-based wealth. I first met Philip Judge some 10 years ago in an accountant's boardroom in Zurich, Switzerland. We were discussing the issue of asset diversification, and Philip presented this simple yet profound example of gold. He said, throughout recorded history, rulers of empires, royalty, and the financial elite have always preserved a portion of their wealth in gold, regardless of the economic cycle. Philip said it is recorded that 2,000 years ago, that 1 ounce of gold would clothe a person with a fine silk toga, woolen coat, and leather sandals. He continued and said that 100 years ago, you could buy a fine 3-piece suit, shirt and tie, and leather shoes with 1 ounce of gold, or $20 US, as gold at that time had a price fixing of $20 an ounce. But then he continued, and in his hand he held up this $20 note and said, "What could you do with this today?" Now, I said, "Philip, we've just come from having coffee and cake in downtown Zurich, and that cost close to $20 US." So then Philip reached into his pocket and pulled out some really nice gold coins and said, "What could you do with 1 ounce of this?" Now, I was silent for a moment as I thought about the true magnitude of what he was explaining to me. It was simple, yet profound, and would certainly change the way that I view money and wealth preservation. Now, even though the gold price was around $500 an ounce at that time, I said no question. I knew I could exchange 1 ounce of gold for the local currency, Swiss francs, and buy a suit, shirt and tie, and leather shoes. Silver as well has been used as money. You can see here in the 1960s a quarter would buy a gallon of gasoline, and in the 1960s a quarter contained 5.6 grams of silver. But today, what does a quarter or 25 cents buy you? In fact, today it doesn't buy enough to buy 30 minutes of time for a parking meter. Yet, the same 5.6 grams of silver will buy you a gallon of gasoline. Now, we're living in a time of another currency crisis. We now know the longer we hold on to paper, the less it will buy. Today's central banks and informed individuals, just like the gold tribe, are diversifying their paper assets into gold and silver. Now, Voltaire said a few hundred years ago, paper money eventually returns to its intrinsic value, zero. But with 6,000 years of monetary history, this shows us to be the case, but not for gold or silver. And historically speaking, reserve currencies did not actually have a long life. Many countries have played this role, from ancient Greece to Rome, Portugal, Spain, the Netherlands. And prior to World War II, we had the British pound. Then after World War II, the Bretton Woods Agreement, we had the US dollar as the reserve currency. But right now, the US dollar is experiencing enormous pressure, and the world is once again in a currency crisis. But the question is, whenever the day of reckoning comes upon us, do you want to be left standing with a bunch of paper or do you prefer to have gold and silver, which is a true storehouse of value? Now, I don't know about you, but I was raised with the understanding to work hard with a 4 days pay. Today, we all work hard, but it's not for a fair day's pay because the money we're paid in is unjust. I was also told to save and put your money in the bank. However, since 1971, our paper currency is no longer backed by a standard of measure, a standard of value, and its purchasing power is being eroded, so the rules of saving have also changed. Now, looking at this example, if we were from the year 2000 had saved $25 a month, that is $300 per year, and we would have by the end of 2010 say $3,000 in cash. But most of that $3,000 today would have already been eroded due to the effects of inflation, meaning that we now get less goods in 2000 with the same $3,000 today. But let's look at this example. If we would, instead of saving $25 per month in paper currency, have that diversified's the word, into gold, into something of true lasting tangible wealth, look what the difference would be. $25 per month into gold price average from the year 2000 to the end of 2010, you would have today a little over 4 ounces of pure gold with a real purchasing value of approximately $7,000. So you can see, diversifying into the right tangible assets in the right cycle gives you exponential wealth, and most importantly, it is a true storehouse of value and the ultimate protection against the whims of inflation. Now imagine if you had saved $250 per month. That would be over $70,000 in gold today versus $30,000 in cash. People often ask me this: have I missed the opportunity for gold? Now, we believe not. We don't know what the gold price will be in 2020. None of us have a crystal ball, but we do have history. Paper money loses value when the money supply is increased, and the current policy of many central banks around the world is to continue to print money. So, therefore, gold will continue to be a safe store of value, just like Mr. Greenspan said. The subject we are speaking about is diversification. We do not suggest that you put all your wealth into gold. Gold is an insurance policy, and many of the experts are suggesting to have a portion of your paper assets into gold. It may be 10%, could be 20%, it may be 30%. It will depend on each individual's specific set of circumstances. But the great news is that you too can diversify just like central banks and the financial elite. You can begin your savings plan from as little as $25 per month. Now, with the unique customer nest egg savings plans, there is no joining fee. You can start from as little as $25 per month. All of our products are pure and certified by the London Bullion Market Association refiner. They're internationally insured, diversified international Swiss storage we offer, and it's a very flexible savings program. It is your savings program, so you're not locked into a set time frame or a specific amount. You can stop at any time and you can change the value. Now, this person has selected 1/3 of an ounce gold collectible to save towards, and they've selected to save $50 each month towards this private collectible. Now, each month, based on the market price of that day, $50 would buy a certain amount of gold according to the market price. And when the customer has saved sufficient grams of gold to fulfill the order, the gold collectible, 1/3 of an ounce, that's 10.367 grams of pure gold, will be sent to the customer or stored on behalf of the customer at Viamat in Switzerland. Now, when the shipping is processed, any excess grams of gold purchased would roll over to the next savings cycle towards the product that you had selected towards. Now, this person here had selected 1/10 of an ounce, 3.11 grams of pure gold, and they're saving $100 per month. Same process would apply. Here there's a silver bar, 250 gram bar, and they've selected $50 to save towards. Now here, this is our King David 3 ounce private silver collectible. Now this person has selected to save $25 per month. That's less than $1 a day. So anyone can start right now. Good habits of saving are something of lasting value. Now we have many parents, grandparents, that start a savings plan for their children or grandchildren. Now let's face it, if the purchasing power of paper money is generally halved every 10 years, why teach the next generation to form a bad habit of saving in paper currency? Let's teach them diversification and start them on a gold and silver savings program. Take delivery of the gold and silver and teach them what generationally wealthy have taught their children. I believe this to be our moral responsibility. You can see here that you can deactivate and activate it at any time. If you click on the Detail tab, you'll be able to open up each individual purchase made and see the date, the amount, the gold and silver pricing, and how many grams are actually purchased. You have a redeem button, so if you have excess grams in your savings account and you wish to stop the savings, you can redeem what is left in your account. A treasury fee will apply. You can edit your profile. This is where you can increase or decrease the amount you are saving each month without any cost. You can change the transaction date, alter the shipping address, and set up the name on the profile. For example, you can put your own name, or you maybe put one of your children's names into the saving profile. This detail button also shows full order history, including how many items have been shipped. Now, I think you would all agree, this is a very flexible, easy gold and silver savings program. But why unique gold? Well, unique premium private collectible range, such as the pure gold Moses or gold Joseph collectible, or the pure silver King David 3-ounce collectible, are all privately issued. Now, unique encourages asset diversification for the preservation of your wealth. Government issued money, including gold coins, is the property of the issuing government. It's not yours. As citizens of a country, we are the bearers of issued money, including government issued gold coins, and throughout history, governments have prohibited and confiscated their citizens from owning gold coins and bullion bars. Many countries, Russia, China, Germany, United Kingdom, USA, and many others. Most would remember, of course, the most spoken about today is the 1933 when President Roosevelt passed the presidential executive order forbidding the hoarding of gold coins, gold bullion, gold certificates, and people were given approximately 8 weeks to comply. Comply meaning that you had to give your gold back and they would exchange that back for paper currency. Or you face large fines or even prison term up to 10 years. Now this temporary law stayed in existence for 41 years until it was repealed by President Ford. Now if history is a good indicator of the future, then diversification is a good plan. Now our gold is privately issued and therefore we believe legally non-confiscatable. Now you will notice that our private range bear biblical collectibles such as Moses, Joseph, King David, and we do this as governments historically have been reluctant to confiscate items of religious collectability. But let me make this point very clear here. We don't say this to sell you overpriced gold or silver private collectibles. You'll see shortly that our gold and silver collectibles are fairly priced and often better priced than a government issued gold coin. Now diversification is one of the secrets of the wealthy. Every product by Unique is produced by the London Bullion Market accredited refiner Argor Horias. It bears the Melter Assaya stamp on every product that you receive, including the assaying of purity and weight. Every collectible is a limited release and uniquely numbered. The Melter Assaya stamp is important. It is recognized internationally, making liquidation to a currency or goods and services easily and acceptable. We believe in the 5-point maximum benefits test in wealth diversification in form of gold, and that is the gold or silver coin that must be your property. It must have a stipulated weight. It must be have a determined purity. All of Unique's products is pure gold, 24 karat, and pure silver. It must have a range of small denominations, making it easy for liquidation. And it must bear an internationally recognized hallmark of a refiner. Well, of course, Argor Horias is a London Bullion Market accredited refiner, and all of our products all of our private collectible products meet the maximum benefits test. We offer also a diversified range of products, including the 1 gram ingots, a 50 gram bar, 100 gram bar, and of course silver bars. These are easy to travel with and able to store and liquidate in case of needs for exchange to goods and services. Now, the person that introduced you to Unique can guide you to locate these important documents as part of your due diligence. Argor-Heraeus Refinery in Switzerland is only one of 5 refineries in the world to be accredited by the London Bullion Market Association Refiners as a referee refiner. In other words, it's a watchdog to other gold producers and refineries. Now, they account for approximately 20% of the world's annual gold supply and have been supplying good delivery bars to the London bullion market since 1961. Now, Argor are the exclusive producers to all of Unique's gold and silver product range. Now, your product is produced and assayed to the highest certification possible. Argor is privately owned, domiciled in a country that has been independent for over 800 years, giving you the confidence in the ability to supply. Now, we also offer Swiss secure storage at the Viamat International Facility near Zurich. Now, this company has been providing logistical and vaulting services of precious metals for 60 years. It's also an accredited London Bullion Market Association for storage. In fact, after our gold and silver products are produced at Argor, they are collected by Viamat and transported over 200 kilometres to the vaulting and fulfilment facility in Viamat near Zurich. Now, this is what we refer to as the London Bullion Market Chain of Integrity. And all your products would remain within this wall of protection until secure shipping to you. Now, you can see here the table of rates for storage charges. This document is available for download, and please note, even though you may elect to have your products securely stored at Viamat, you may at any time request to have them shipped to a nominated and approved shipping country. Now, in your Unique Secure Business Centre, you can view every product that you have elected to be stored or later shipped. You can see the item product name, the amount credited to your account, any that you may have debited from your account for shipping or maybe even sold back. You can see current balance. You can see the weights held in troy ounces and in grams. And as I mentioned before, all of Unique's gold and silver products are stored within the London Bullion Market Chain of Integrity. It is comforting for you to know that you receive your product with the highest standard of certification right up to the point when it's securely shipped to you. But please note, we do not ship to post office boxes. FedEx will not do that. You must have a physical address that you can sign for your delivery. Fool's gold. Is there such a thing as fool's gold? Well, sadly enough, there is, and counterfeiting actually does go on in the precious metals industry. Now, we just want to make a point about this so that you understand where you source your gold, and certification is really important to you. Even professionals are being caught out from this, as did a group of traders and investors in the UAE, it was Dubai actually, where they discovered their $200 million purchase was not all gold. So you can do your research on Google about that, but it's important to know the source of where you're sourcing your gold from and the certification. Now, here are some examples of how well priced the Unique gold and silver products are. Now, looking at this US Mint, it's a tenth of an ounce, 3.11 grams. It sells for $225. And we're going to compare it to the Unique product. This is based on a spot price of $1,800. Now, what's really important when comparing gold or precious metal items is it's most important that you compare the weights. So we have 1/10 of an ounce, 3.11 grams, and the Unique product is 1/10 of an ounce, 3.11 grams. So that's a good example. But then you look at the next thing you look at is the purity. Okay, the purity of Unique is 24 carat, 909.9 parts pure in 1,000. The United States Mint product is 22 carat, 91.6% pure. And most importantly, all of our products meet the maximum benefits test. Here's another example from the Perth Mint. Again, it's a good example. We're going to be comparing 1/10 of an ounce, so the weight is the same, and this time the purity is the same. Now you can see here the Perth Mint was selling this at $303 US. And you compare that to your unique product, which is the same weight, the same purity. Our product was priced very, very competitively priced against the Perth Mint. Most importantly, our products meet the maximum benefits test. Now here's one from the Royal UK Britannica Mint. This is also an example of the same weight, 1/10 of an ounce, 3.11 grams. The purity is 22 carat. It was selling for £225 at that time. The exchange rate was $359 US. And when you compare that to the unique collectible, our product was priced very, very well against the Royal Britannica Mint, $232 US versus $360 US. But again, our product is pure gold, but also it meets the maximum benefits test. Now you have the information, you have decisions to make. You can either choose to become a victim to this wealth transfer, or you become a participant. Now if you choose to become a participant, contact the person that introduced you to Unique. Go to the website, you can contact them to answer any questions you may have and help you through the process. You can get started on the Nest Egg Savings Plan or purchase the product you choose outright for delivery by going to the gold and silver shop. But please note, we don't invest in gold. We diversify and save in gold. I wish to thank you for your attendance, and I hope that the information has been of benefit to you. This is Bill Rao. Thank you and goodbye.